What's up everybody and welcome back to another Dota 1 cast, Warcraft 3 Dota, the old faithful. Will be making its return here on this channel. Hopefully I might be able to bring you a couple more games, but as always when I cast a Dota 1 game, I usually cast it to pick up or to analyze heroes that are not yet in the Dota 2 scene, because really there's only one scene to analyze and that's the Filipino scene, which is very fun, very exciting to watch, but still, it is sort of fading out slowly but surely, and it's a bit sad, but still, you do have to get used to it. But anyways, not going to talk about that too much. This is a Dota 1 cast. This is quite a long game, so you'll have to forgive me if I lose some of my strength. I'm going to be solo casting this, and actually this game is going to be between Sydney and DmokaFarm, and this is from the GMPGL. This replay was from around 2 months ago, and yeah, actually I recorded this as a dual cast with SGG. It was supposed to be uploaded on his channel, but unfortunately something went wrong and he wasn't able to get the re-edit going, so this game was never uploaded. This game is around 2.5–2 months old, as this is from late February, so you're gonna have to excuse the lateness, but still, I don't know if this game has been covered. Maybe it was covered on Die Smiling on his channel for highlights, but other than that I'm not too sure. And again, it's a bit difficult to keep up with the Dota 1 scene these days because sometimes there's periods where there's no games for about 3 weeks and then suddenly there's a burst of games between the GMPGL and all that. But yeah, hopefully this should be an exciting game. I'll try to see if I can bring you some more Dota 1 games, but I'll only cast the Dota 1 games that are really sensationally epic or have heroes that are not yet in Dota 2. In this game, we have TECHIES, and TECHIES, of course, is a hero that, love or hate him, he definitely makes Dota a bit more dynamic. Whenever there's techies in the game, you always have to game plan around it, and we'll see what kind of element he has, or he adds into this game, as we're going to see mid-solo techies. And actually the last dual cast I did with SGG, we saw support techies, but in the Filipino scene, whenever we do see techies, which is very rarely, he is played as a mid-solo most part, as Shouting. Just going to go a bit of harassment on the puck, as I forgot to do some players and teams. Once there's a bit of downtime, I will most assuredly do that. But again, this is quite a long game. I'm going to be solo casting this, so I just want to sort of get right into the thick of things, and hopefully you're going to have to forgive that, as it's going to be Dragonite versus Techies, Dragonite mid-solo, ball crowing, and man, the Filipinos know all. They got Shadowblade on Dragonite, or Lothar's on Dragonite. They got Techies, or they got Bottle Crowing. Man, the Filipinos are like the original hipsters of Dota. They were doing everything before it was even cool, and now it's just mainstream. As I fully expect all these Filipino players to bust out some ironic scarves, some, weird mustaches, and rock some turtlenecks and chains. But anyways, just looking at the lineups, as Techies just going to venture a bit forward, I'm going to be watching him quite closely. And Dragonite, he can approach the Techies, but Techies actually has a really high base armor. It actually got buffed up very high. I thought it was at 6, but I guess they buffed it up to 7. He doesn't have the worst strength growth. He is the slowest base movement speed hero in the game, with around 270 move speed, so that is something working against him. He does have pitifully low base damage, so it's very difficult to last hit with him. But still, you can't really physically harass him, even if he does have to venture up close in your face, because of that Severin armor. And with the Ball Crow, he can actually sort of sustain himself in lane quite admirably. And just looking at the overall team composition, which is something I have not yet gone over, we'll just take a look. We're going to have Mighty Saber playing the Nerubian Assassin. Kunkka is going to be played by Raiko. Drow is going to be handled by Sayak Chuiko. Minoy is going to be handling the Shadian. Exia 000 or quadruple 0 is going to be playing the Dragonite. Meanwhile, Hickory is going to be playing the Techies. Cassiopeia is playing the Keeper of the Light. Red Banner is playing the Vengeful Spirit. Sam is playing the Puck. And Nade is playing the Phantom Lancer. And you can just sort of see what these lineups are intended to do already, as I'm just going to take a quick look. No, the damage art for the creeps is not global. Again, this is sort of an older game, so I'm not too sure how much of the patches have changed, but it appears that the Drow global damage art is not being applied, but it's still being applied to the creeps, and I think Drow has not been nerfed so that she loses all of her marksmanship. If you do get in range, she just loses half, I think. But yeah, if you just look at the team composition, you can just sort of understand where both teams are coming from. As even though the Sentinel do have a triple core carry in the form of Kunkka, Drow, and the Dragon Knight, they are facing up against an extremely powerful turtle lineup with a Keeper of the Light, a Techies, who I think will be played as mostly a turtler in this game, and it's always tricky pushing uphill against the techies because of those mines making it a living nightmare, and just always having your supports to buy gems. And of course, one of the main things why invisible heroes are so powerful is that it makes this support squisher by default because they're forced to constantly invest their resources into sentry wards, into gems, and if they lose it, they are just left so much further behind. But yeah, this lineup on the Scourge side is fully designed to turtle. They have a Phantom Lancer, although I think the triple core of the Dragon Knight Drought could potentially outcarry the Phantom Lancer, as Phantom Lancer or Techie is going to get Dragon Tailed in the middle and going to drop a mine, going to run back towards the safety of his own mines, and the smoke gank by the Sentinel side is going to be thwarted, as Dragon Knight going to venture up close. Here comes the disruption, as I think Dragon Knight does seem to realize where the mines are, as Techies is going to take a torrent right to the face, but Techies with that ridiculous base armor so damn techie, as Kunkka going to blow up in the midst of all those mines. Just a little bit of a misstep, and Kunkka paid for it with his life. And that is going to be first blood, and without Sentry, it's always difficult to gank Techies, as you never really know, as Nyx Assassin going to take a bit of damage on the top lane. And when I say Nyx Assassin, I mean Nerubian Assassin. And you're going to have to excuse me, it has been a while since my last Dota 1 cast, so I might get the name switched up, but I haven't called these sides Radiant of Dire yet. It's still Sentinel's Scourge. But yeah, Techie's such an interesting hero to analyze, and just going over his skills, of course he has the landmines, which he can have a max of 15, does physical damage, is very good at pushing down towers because it explodes, or it's not physical, it's mixed damage. He has Suicide Squad attack, he has Stasis Trap, which is perhaps one of the best stuns of the game if it's not so delayed, as it is a 5 to 6 to 7 second AoE stun, as Nerubian Assassin gonna get stunned. Did manage to take the stun duration, but that spike camp is just proving to be ever so annoying, and Nerubian will be able to escape for now. And of course, last but not least, his Techie's ultimate is the remote mine, which you can plant ridiculously spam all over the map. If you get Aghanims, you can plant from further away, get more damage. And Techie's is quite a fast farmer, so if he can manage to get himself to a fast Aghanims, get himself fast Techs, that could be a bit of an issue for the Sentinel. Meanwhile, since this is a Filipino game, is there double bottle crow action? And yes, this is actually a crow, unlike in Dota 2 where it's just, more often than not, some other variation of a cur, which is actually not a crow. But so far, a little bit disappointing. Usually in Filipino games, or I can't really say that anymore because I haven't casted a Southeast Asian Filipino Dota 1 matchup in a long time, but when I did cast them quite often, it was usually Trilane versus Trilane, and then both of the off-lane solos would meet on the top lane, the Trilane would meet on the bottom lane, and the mid lanes would just sort of be left to themselves, and we'd see a lot of action on the bottom lane for the most part when it's Trilane versus Trilane. But in this game, you can sort of understand, because Phantom Lancer wants to get his farm going, Drought wants to get her farm going, and they have a support Kunkka for whatever reason. I'm not too sure why. Hopefully, if this game does go late, which it will, this game is quite long, Kunkka will be able to find some semblance of farm, and since it has been a long time since I've casted, I actually don't know how exactly this game goes, so not really being spoiled too much. Yep, there are two couriers on the side of the Sentinel. Meanwhile, I can't see the couriers, or the second courier on the side of the Scourge. Nope, there are in fact two couriers on the side of the Scourge, so this is as Filipino can get. As you see Dragon Knight, you're seeing Dra, as Techie's going to take a lot of harass, and the ultimate of the Dragon Knight is going to be popped. Remote Mine not doing nearly enough damage, as Dragon Knight trying to maneuver himself into position. Not sure if he has any cooldowns, but Techies did not skill that Suicide Squad Assault, and actually the creeps are blocking this Dragon Knight, but Breath of Fire, after he bottled up sufficient amount, was able to kill off the Techies. And you saw the base movement speed of Techies was just so slow, even with Dragon Knight being blocked by creeps for what seemed like an eternity for the Dragon Knight. You still could not escape. And actually, just wanted to comment on that a little bit more, as I just sort of want to manage my voice as best as possible. From what I've seen for the Filipino scene, they don't like to get any points in the Suicide Squad attack in the early levels. They only get it in the mid-game when they want to sort of deny themselves. But they don't usually use Suicide Squad aggressively. They always use it defensively, which I think could be something that Techies players could do, but it's always, you know, a bit of a risk, as you do remain out of commission for a bit, as me on Nerubian Assassin, offlane Nerubian Assassin, knows that Vengeful Spirit, Phantom Lancer, and I think this is the unnerfed Nerubian Assassin, as his Spike Carapace is doing a lot of work. But Nerubian Assassin almost level 6, trying to get whatever farm he can possibly get. Meanwhile, it seems like the supports are not properly controlling the creep golem, which is a bit unfortunate, but it seems like they are going to get a push going. They do have some aura, they have the Vengeful Spear aura, they have a catapult, and this tower already sustained quite a bit of damage, as, yeah, the tower is actually going to get sieged down, so sorry for doubting the creep equilibrium. They're just gonna go for a push. As Nerubian Assassin gonna pop the Vendetta, but the Centaur is gonna be placed. As Howl of Terror is gonna be popped. The Illuminate is just gonna barely whiff, and this is the pre-nerf Illuminate, I do believe. And Trickle Boots has not yet been nerfed in this patch. Again, it's 2 months old. As the Tower Deny might be attempted, the Scourge do manage to pick up the last hit, but on the other side of the equation, Drow does manage to get the last hit on her own tower. And she is going for the Helm of Dominator Treads build, so going for a more carry-oriented Drow, which I think the Sentinel do realize, because it's going to be immensely difficult pushing in against Techies and a Keeper. I can't really think of any other lineups that it's more annoying to push in against. And not only that, they also have the Vengeful Spear for some crazy swap shenanigans, to swap people into the mines, and also to swap people out of position. So one of the best ways you can break a base, of course, is to blink in, so disrupt them, but if Vengeful Spear gets a swap, that can disrupt your entire initiation plan. But Sentinel had the vastly better early game, and Dragon Knight actually going to go back mid after securing the kill on the Vengeful Spirit. Drow looking to secure some more of her own farm, and Techie's just going to be bullied out for the most part. Picked up the Soul Rings as well as Arcane Boots, so just trying to get as much mana as possible. And sometimes when we saw Techies in action, more novice Techies in public games, as actually the Dragon Knight just going to blow up in a fit of explosions. My bad for missing that. Unfortunately, I can't rewind because Dota 1 does not have that feature, so you're just going to have to excuse me for my blindness. I'm just going to have to pay a bit more attention, as Nerubian is going to try to gank the Techies. I don't think Techies has a point to Suicide Squad. I don't even think he'll die, as, yeah, Techies just going to scurry away, and Nerubian Assassin with only boots of speed, not quite quick enough to catch up to the base movement speed of the Techies. The Drow Ranger going to get ganked on the bottom lane. Puck is there. Keeper Light throwing down a lot of acid, as Puck will pick up the last hit. Nicely done. Killing the Drow Ranger is so crucially important, delaying that push, and delaying the Drow's ridiculous damage for as long as possible while your Phantom Lancer farms is of the utmost importance. But yeah, just talking about Techies, some of the more novice Techies players in Dota 1's the pub stars that you sort of hate, because people hate playing with Techies, people hate playing against Techies in general, as meanwhile Shout even is going to get picked off on the bottom lane as well, overextending himself by a little bit, and I gotta get my head in the game. Solo cast for quite a long time. Hopefully I can sort of recover from this momentary mishap. The colors are just so weird on this map. I'm tripping out, man. But yeah, Techies should try to get as much experience as possible. He is a magical dependent hero, so it's not like he gets more effective as game goes on, but with items like Yols, if you can manage to get Yols and then put on a stasis trap, that's a huge duration stun. He can definitely benefit very greatly from the items, and mana regen is always a great benefit. As Dragon Knight going back to the middle lane did pick up the phase boots and actually going to take a lot of damage, actually going to get blown up. The AoE on the remote ones is surprisingly deceptive, as that Dragon Knight just melted into oblivion, and that was the Dragon Knight Centaur, but since the mines were planted up the cliff, he did not have vision, so that's something that all pro Techies players do. They plant the mines in very, very difficult to spot conditions, even though there are detection measures to be taken against it. That's why some of the best mine locations are up on this cliff right here during the nighttime where you can't really see anything, this cliff. So even if you have a gem, you can't really see them unless it's a little bit too late. You have to sort of scout ahead. So that is a huge issue that you have to deal with when you're dealing with Techies. As meanwhile, Techies just going to contentedly farm up some more. Alright, at least it's not observer vision. You can actually see the gold income. Meanwhile, the Nerubian Assassin looking to set up a gank, perhaps on the Puck, and Puck is one of those favored Filipino heroes. Puck was popular in the Filipino scene before it became popular in the Western scene. Played as an offlane hero for the most part, but he probably will go for the Dagon. He picked the Null, and I think Filipino Pucks were the first ones to innovate the Dagon. So, again, Filipinos are the hipsters of Dota. As meanwhile, Vengeful Spirit just waiting, anticipating a gank on the Techies, as Dragon Knight or Kunkka waiting in the shadows. Kunkka really not having too big of an impact, and I'm really questioning the decision to have Kunkka as support. I mean, of course you do have the synergy with the Shadow Demon to sort of set up the easy torrent ganks, but Kunkka as support, he's very mana dependent. He benefits greatly from items, but if he doesn't get those items, he just doesn't have nearly as big an impact. But you can sort of manage it just because the boat buff on your allies is so significant that you can still make a contribution to team fight in terms of taking a lot less reduced damage. And be assured, there is a lot of burst damage on the side of Scourge, so every bit of protection that the Sentinel can muster up will be of immense value. So that could be why the Kunkka is being played as 4. I think in this game Kunkka was most probably picked up as the last pick. If I had to guess, it was probably Sentinel picking up the last pick, and TECHIES was the last pick of the Scourge. But again, it was an AP remake apparently, and Phantom Lancer saving up a lot of gold, and Filipino Phantom Lancers, Filipinos, Nagasanas, they still like to go for the Reigns build, even though it has been frowned upon more recently in the Asian Western scene. So I guess we'll find out very shortly the effectiveness of the Phantom Lancer. It does allow you to split push a bit faster, as we're going to see Recall. Disruption is going to keep the Keeper of the Light disrupted for a little bit, as Puck will be there to teleport in. There's going to be a huge engagement as Phantom Lancer trying to catch the Kunkka. Phantom Lancer, not that much mana, but is going to town on the Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon level 6 will end up perishing in this assault. Magic Missile will secure the kill, and meanwhile TECHIES on the middle lane, immediately recognizing that, finish the Force Staff, is probably going to try to get this middle tower besieged ASAP, and we'll look to see some remote mines being planted very, very shortly, just to help accelerate the push. Actually, TECHIES, interestingly enough, is not going to push the mid lane. I'm going to have to question this decision, because even though TECHIES Star wants to keep his lane in constant equilibrium, just so he has constant vision all over the map, getting that tower gold for your Phantom Lancer will allow him to be a lot more effective, because even though they do have a Phantom Lancer, they are facing a dual core carry, with Kunkka having the potential to go for sort of a semi-carry build as support. Meanwhile, this Nerubian Assassin has not been able to accomplish too much in his own gank, so Sentinel looking in a little bit of a shaky position, and again, with your supports being so squishy, with them constantly having to invest in sentry wards, these supports are not going to be very tanky. You can see they're still running on with the only boost speed and wards, and it's not going to get prettier as this game goes on. As, ooh, there's going to be disruption, but the remote mine's just going to explode, will pick off the Shadow Demon easily, and a cheeky Force Staff will help secure the life of the TECHIES, as that was actually another Sentinel sentry ward, so I guess just 1 or 2 mines. Keep in mind, when you kill the remote mines, it was actually patched like a year, maybe a year and a half ago. When you kill the remote mines, they still explode and do damage, so maybe that was some of the reasoning why that kill actually did happen. But it is tricky to gank TECHIES just because he sort of fortifies himself, as there's going to be a Lothar's gank by the Dragon Knight, as Kunkka revealed himself just a little bit too much, and TECHIES gonna perhaps get stunned, will just take a little bit of pot shot damage. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Nerubian Assassin going to take a lot of damage. He tried to assassinate the Puck. Little did he know he would be the one who was going to be assassinated. And the Nerubian Assassin being assassinated by a fairy dragon, that must be the ultimate insult. I'm sure all the other Nerubs will never let him down. Never let him live it down. God. Meanwhile, Keeper, nice job always buying Centaurs. He's not having too much farm either, and one of the annoying things for TECHIES sports is that they have to get their own Centaurs in detection to make sure their TECHIES is protected, which is why TECHIES is a bit of a risky pick, because if it goes wrong, it does have the potential to go very, very sour very, very quickly, as TECHIES really, if he doesn't get the items going, won't have too much contribution in a team fight. Could potentially just be food for the taking. But with this turtle lineup, which is something we actually did not see too often in the Philippine scene, as the Drought is going to reach around trying to pick off some sort of CS, but will only succeed in driving the Phantom Lancer away and kills off a small group. So Phantom Lancer not going to be too disquieted by that fact, as meanwhile, that was just an illusion rune, or some illusions by the Phantom Lancer going to work. As the Sentinel going to approach the Scourge jungle, and Phantom Lancer could be in a lot of trouble, and the Nerubian Assassin was waiting to make sure he could find the correct Phantom Lancer. Here comes the Torrent and the Soul Catcher, as Phantom Lancer just melts. The Sentry Ward is placed there as well. Meanwhile, Ventus Spirit going to get disrupted. Shadow Poison will be in effect, as the boat just going to give him a huge buff. Unfortunately, the Blinding Light actually pushed him away. Nice Dream Coil, but with the both buff, they're just going to not do too much damage. You can see the Nerubian Assassin just not dying, but the Illuminate flying and doing huge amounts of damage, and TECHIES is there. What can he honestly do? I'm not too sure. Here comes Eventual Spirit, Magic Missile, and TECHIES not even bothering to set up a trap. He's completely out of mana, and TECHIES in these early game engagements really can't contribute too much unless he gets those mana restorative items. As Dragon Knight looking to seek does pick off the courier with the help of that Lothar's Edge, and that is going to be very, very unfortunate for the Scourge. They lost their Phantom Lancer, and meanwhile the Sentinel, all they lost was their 2 supports, which they will take any day of the week, if especially they get a courier on top of the cake. Meanwhile, Drow, it seems like her farm has not been too successful. She did die in a gank attempt by the Puck, as well as the Keeper of the Light. But other than that, this isn't really the best farm for the Drow, as she is going to take a lot of damage. She does manage to pick off the tower, going to try to get the silence going, but you can see Drow, when people are up close in her face, really just loses a lot of her effectiveness, as Phantom Lancer does easily secure the kill. But you can see the mid-game power of the Sentinel squad really starting to come into effect, and with the tower not being pushed in the middle lane, which the Techies could have been very easily been able to do, and now this tower actually will get denied. So I'm really actually now severely questioning the Techies' decision not to just kill the middle tower. You can again understand where he's coming from. He wants to be in his lane, he wants to be getting as much experience as possible without taking too much experience from his Phantom Lancer, but still, a free tower, that's a little bit too good for anybody to turn down. You know, Techie is going to go for the Perseverance. Could go for Lincoln's, but I think it will probably be a Bloodstone build, as Bloodstone does give Techies a lot of mana regen, and he doesn't get the charges even if he does get a kill with mines across the map, as meanwhile Phantom Lancer just going to work on this bottom tower. And that's it, Dragon Knight is there, Phantom Lancer just going back. We'll try to pick up the Radiance very, very soon, as there will be a tower tonight on the middle lane, Disruption going to be used, and the Ruben Assassin will eventually die. That Disruption was applied defensively, but just helped Keeper of the Lights get an easy eliminate, so a little bit unfortunate. Nerubian Assassin was most likely screwed either way. But the tower being denied, gonna hurt the side of the Scourge just a bit. Again, they need a lot of gold to get the Sentry Wards. And again, like I said earlier, when a Techie's pick goes bad, it goes very, very bad, because he is very, very ineffective in teamfights without items. This is Dagon Puck just chasing away a Kunkka with the Dream Coil, and the Vengeful Spirit will be there to secure the kill, but the boat as well as the Torrent will manage to hit, and we're going to see a teleport in by Blue, who is the Shadow Demon. No, it's the Nerubian Assassin, as meanwhile the Thunder Lizard's going to work, and the Vengeful Spirit will get picked off as Drow did rotate in, doing some ancient stacks, going to look to finish the meta, and suddenly her farm is starting to look a little bit more scary, and Drow still as deadly as ever once she gets the items going. And we'll just take a look at the early game CS. Techies, yep, it does have the most farm in the game. Well, second to the Dragon Knight, who's able to get a bit more secure farm, is naturally more tanky than the Techies, as the Dragon Knight looking to initiate on the Phantom Lancer. And the Phantom Lancer, little did the Dragon Knight know, he would be the one that would be initiated on, but look at the Dragon Knight's damage, just completely melting through that Phantom Lancer, and that's sort of the downside of the Radiance build. You can farm faster, sort of, in certain situations, because of the AoE burn damage, but Diffusal also allows you to farm faster because you get attack speed, you get agility, you get more damage for your Phantom Lances, and it can be a bit safer because you can purge people, you can mana drain them. So I think, if I had to guess, as Drow gonna get manhandled by a Techies, and meanwhile does manage to kill a Shadow Demon as well, as the Dragon Knight just gonna burst in a huge flame of damage. And Techies just proving to be an utter nuisance on the map. Nerubian actually is going for the Dagon, so pretty interesting build. Bit late for a Dagon, but still quite effective nonetheless. But yeah, what was I talking about? Phantom Lancer, right. I think, if I had to guess, the Filipinos probably switched away from Radiant's Phantom Lancers. Filipino players are very, very smart, and once they see something working, they will probably try to use it. But they do like to stick with their old tried and true build, which is why we see so often Dragon Knight being placed in such high regard, as well as even the occasional Techie experiences. As the Sentinel looking to defend their bottom tier 1 tower, Puck will take a boat, does dodge it nicely, as Techie's does have the fish Bloodstone, trying to go to work on the middle lane as Illuminate and the immense amount of ranged initiation, and the Phantom Lancer Radiant Stand just going to town, does pick off the Kunkka, gonna force Nerubian Assassin away, as again, the Diffusal Blade would allow those illusions to attack a bit more quickly, and you can see the supports on the side of the Sentinel starting to say, alright guys, we might need to get a gem as Dragon Knight, gonna get the Lothar stun off, and will take a stun for his troubles, but you can see Dragon Knight just so fast, so fierce, they're going to switch targets to the Venture Spirit instead. Keep it light will be able to escape for now as the Illuminate just barely lifts. He is going to find himself in spirit form as Phantom Knights are caught in a little bit of a difficult situation as he again does not have too much HP. Meanwhile, Techie's trying to apply a bit of pressure to the middle tower. Drought is there as well. Keep it light will be picked off by the Shadow Demon as well as the Dragon Knight, as Dragon Knight just throwing down so much damage. Dragon Knight in these games so very tanky, as Techie's I thought there might have been a bit of action, but just going to drive away or be driven away by the Dragon Knight. And meanwhile, Puck with the Blink Dagger just going to get X'd, torrented, and complete decimated. So maybe that was another reason why they got support Kunkka, for the potential of killing this Puck, which is very, very difficult to kill, but X makes everything a lot easier. But you can see the Phantom Knights are less than 1k HP, and not like Diffusal Blade would help him. Diffusal Blade doesn't give you any strength or any HP, so not going to begrudge him too much on that account. But the Dragon Knight, with his tank ability, with having incredible armor, a really high strength growth, and really just one item to his name, which is the Lithar's Edge, which doesn't give him stats at all, is really, really annoying as Nerubian Assassin, very, very scared to initiate. He does have the gem and it is daytime, so he fully realizes that there are a bunch of mines as Drow going to try to run in with their creep, looking to try to seek or throw down as much deeps as possible as the mine's going to get blown up, but the Shadow Demon in the backlines will get pursued. Nice force staff by the Techies as he is proving to have a huge impact in this game, just making everybody's life a complete hell in trying to deal with him. But with the gem on the Nerubian Assassin, they will at least be able to handle some of the wards being planted on their own side of the map. And that's another benefit of the Techies. You can sort of have your own mini wards. They don't give nearly as much vision, but you can spam them so recklessly that they might as well just give you more vision than the wards if you get a sufficient number of mines all across the map. And you can see that's exactly what the Techies is doing, placing mines wherever he sees fit just to give him a bit more vision. And if anybody is unlucky enough to walk over them, they are going to take quite a bit of damage. As Dragon Knight gonna engage. He is level 16, 24 minutes in the game as Nerubian Assassin gonna run up the cliff, gonna take a stasis trap, but Techies will most surely die. Does manage to kill himself, nicely done, but did lose a couple bloodstone charges, and you can see the burst damage being thrown up by the remote Titans, just going to town on the heroes of the Sentinel side. But Dragon Knight again is just too damn tanky, and with the bow buff he is going to be super difficult to bring down as Puck looking to pursue the issue. I don't think Puck can do anything. Drow does manage to handle one of the other heroes on the side of the Scourge. It was a keeper. And meanwhile Puck just going to dodge into the force. Nerubian Assassin did die, but I think Sentinel probably did recover the gem if I had to guess. Gem? Was it killed? I guess it was killed, and that is a huge victory for the Scourge, as that gem will be on cooldown for quite a bit, and that will again force supports to buy Sentry Wards, and you can see the supports really not too much. Really can't afford to run over even one of Techie's mines. That'll bring them down to nearly 0 HP. Kunkka a little bit tankier, being strength. Actually somehow managed to snipe a bottle. I guess it was one of his teammates' bottles saying, I don't need it anymore. You can take some of the mana. Probably the Dragon Knight's bottle. No, Dragon Knight. Maybe it was the Nerubian's bottle. Probably the Nerubian's bottle while you look to secure that gem. But Nerubian dropped the gem, and that is going to be very, very unfortunate for the side of the Sentinel. You know, Techie's going for Boots of Travel, and again, he did lose some Bloodstone charges in that gank. He was forced to suicide, but again, that does sort of make you have to lose your life. But suicide does deny some experience as well as some gold. I don't know if the suicide mechanisms are exactly the same in Dota 1 and in Dota 2, but in suiciding in Dota 2, of course, means that you get 0 gold, 0 experience. And I'm not sure if it's the same in Dota 1. And this is the point of the game where Techies can be a bit annoying because now he has his core, as Boots of Travel isn't really a core. He did disassemble it to help finish up the Bloodstone a la Storm Spirit, which you see disassemble the Arcane Boots to pick up the Bloodstone. But now you can start getting some teamfight items, and once Techies can start doing fights and team fights, that is just very, very annoying, because Techies farms so much quicker than most other heroes that he can get those significant items up a lot earlier. But still, he might have to make some room for an Aghanim's in his arsenal, as meanwhile the Sentry Ward is going to be planted. Torrent will hit the Vengeful Spirit as the ward's being taken down by this nicely placed Sentry Ward, and meanwhile you can see the Sentinel being bottled up on their own side of the map, and Nerubian Assassin taking a chunk of damage, but reflecting some of it with the Spike Carapace, I do believe, but Techies now at this point quite tanky with almost 1900 HP. But Dragonite is starting to become a huge factor, has finished the BKB, and is just applying a lot of pressure as Puck gonna blink in, gonna cast the Dagon, just looking to usher away the Dragonite. So Dragonite is becoming a problem. Checking out Drow, I think she's probably finished the Meta style at this point, and she's actually picked up the Eagle Horn. Meanwhile, her counterpart Carry on the opposing side, Phantomancer, just going to skip all nonsense, going straight for the heart, trying to make himself ready for any possible engagements, because even though he can't really do as much attack speed damage, can't create as many illusions without attack speed from the agility growth, the tankability and the range damage is still very, very significant, especially against these squishy sports who will die in a couple of seconds versus Phantomancer, who does have the heart now in place. Still, this game rolls on. I'm just very, very curious to see what this Techies does. Again, planting mines all over the map. Checking out the Kunkka, really not too much in terms of side progression. And just looking at the overall state of the game. On one side you have a Techies and a Phantomancer, but Phantomancers are really only late game physical DPS. And it seems like this Techies, if I had to guess, would probably go for an Aghanims, because the Filipinos do like to build a bit greedily, if I do have to say. They like to sort of get as much as they can, as much bang for their buck. And meanwhile, Smoke to See is going to be popped. Techies looking to try to fortify the middle lane from any pursuers. Going to find himself X'd as well as torrented as the mine's going to be destroyed. Boat will hit on top of the Techies. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, ooh, Force Staff will help to save the life of the Techies as Nerubian Assassin is going to go on the Phantomancer. As Phantomancer taking a chunk of damage, Phantomancer actually dies. What the heck was that smoke about? Oh, Dragonite was there. I forgot about the Dragonite. He just stunned the Phantomancer for so long. Nerubian Assassin will die. They're going to kill off the Dragonite in exchange for a Phantomancer. Maybe they won't, as the detection just a little bit too much. They're going to get at least a courier for their trouble. So I guess it's better than nothing, but still, a Nerubian Assassin for a Phantomancer is something that the Sentinel will do any day of the week. But again, just looking at the overall game picture, as I just want to take a look at the gold intake. Techies, 2k gold in the bank. Phantomancer, not too much. Dragonite will start to get a bit more damage, and Dragonite at this point is already ridiculously difficult to bring down. He's going to get more and more difficult. Of course, it's going to get a bit easier as Phantomancer starts actually picking up some DPS items. I mean, his only DPS item is a Radiance, which isn't really as impressive. It's more of a farming item. But Dragonite is going to get more and more difficult to bring down. Drow is going to pump out more and more damage. And Kunkka eventually can have a tremendous impact, as there's going to be initiation onto the Puck. He's going to find himself stun place. He's actually going to get swapped out by the Vengeful Spirit. Can Puck actually blink away? Puck in the phase shift will be able to blink away, but Nerubian Assassin hunts him down with the Dagon. Nicely done. Vengeful Spirit going to get pursued. Dragonite easily snipes down the encroaching Vengeful Spirit. Meanwhile, Keeper Light is going to be on the run. Nerubian Assassin won't be able to catch up to the Keeper Light, I don't believe. Keeper Light does have the higher base and speed, and Keeper Light actually going to juke. That might have actually cost him his life if Nerubian Assassin kept up the pursuit. But yeah, Phantomancer, I mean, if you've looked at the recent trends in Dota 2, he's actually not winning that much. His competitive win rate is quite low, and at a certain point, he does cap out. You can't really go for some major DPS items. I mean, ooh, Force Staff into a Kunkka kill. What a play by this Techies player, Hickory. Really showing that he has nice mastery of this hero. But again, all he got was support Kunkka, as Dragonite going to be stunned for an immense amount of duration by the Stasis Trap. Again, if you manage to get one Stasis Trap, you could potentially win a fight just on the back of that. And this middle tower is still at very, very close to full HP, because Techies is just saying, you will never come close to putting any sorts of dent on this middle tower while I'm still alive. But yeah, at a certain point, Phantomancer does cap out. Doesn't really like to go for big DPS items like the Rapier, because it doesn't transfer the illusions. Daedalus is an option, but you don't get the immense amount of plus damage, you only get the crit, and that is not going to be as useful without that extra bit of plus damage. Monkey King Bar, it could be an option, but really not as effective, because it does give you that illusions damage. So at a certain point, Phantomancer does cap out. Meanwhile, other heroes like Drow and Dragonite can afford to play a bit more risky, because their damage doesn't come from illusions. They can afford to sort of build themselves up rather than their illusions. And Dragonite does have a very, very nice splash AoE, so once he gets a sufficient amount of damage, the Phantomancer illusions will be torn apart, and the Dragonite armor is just going to be very, very annoying for the Phantomancer to deal with. And again, in the recent months, Phantomancer has not been winning nearly as much. He's still incredibly annoying to deal with. but in the competitive scene, he has sort of been stalled for the most part. He is a situational pick in a lot of scenarios. But that is to remain how, or we will see how this game goes. Is Dragon Knight going to dodge the magic missile popping the BKB? But unfortunately can't find any targets. Nerubian Assassin is there as well. Phantom Lancer with the double damage will look to usher away the side of the Sentinel, as there will be a blink dream call. They do know the Dragon Knight is still there, as will they be able to pop a Sentry Ward? They don't have any detection. I think they used it all. They have been very, very diligent on getting appropriate amounts of detection, but the one time they could have caught the Dragon Knight without his BKB, unfortunately, they didn't pack the punch. And again, there was something else I forgot to mention. They have shouting, so they can potentially create their own Phantom Lances. Dragon, or Drow, is going to poke her head out a little bit too far. This is a very, very terrible position for the Drow to be in, because she loses a lot of her damage. Even though this isn't the pre-patch Drow, or the post-patch Drow, where she loses all of her marks and damage, she still loses significant. But unfortunately, the Scourge are engaging up a high ground. The boat buff just allows them so much survivability, and Techies, without the mines in position to just throw down a lot of DPS, really cannot contribute too much. Phantom Lights are going to look to escape, and Techies will just try to fortify this mill tower as best he can, but all the while a bomb tower is being pushed as Techies gonna get X'd as well as Torrented. Phantom Lights are choosing to defend the middle rather than trying to secure the bottom. Nerubian Assassin gonna run himself right into the midst of all the mines. The middle will be defended for the most part. Yeah, Phantom Lights is gonna get spied out. Is Dragon Knight gonna initiate with the Dragon Tail? Phantom Lights will most surely die. Look at the DPS Drow is pumping out ridiculous amounts of damage, and meanwhile Techies gonna get slowed down. The Dragon Knight is just absolutely tearing the Scourge. A new one will get juked into the trees. Oh, Techies with the 4-step might just be able to barely escape, and Sentinel gonna win a huge victory. And this is very, very troubling for the Scourge. And you can see without a Hex, a Yules, Techies in teamfight is extremely unreliable. It relies on the opposing players making bad choices and bad decisions. With the Yules or Hex, he can Yule somebody up in the air, he can Hex somebody, he can do stuff and plant mines all the while. But when he doesn't have those items, it's just very, very minimal. And you can see, I think that's why is going for the Void Stone rather than going for the Aghanims, even though Aghanims does give your mines a bit of increased attack range, which will help out your damage in teamfights because you can cast a bit safer. Getting something like a Hex will be just of the utmost importance in this game. But there is a BKB on the side of the Drow who did manage to pick up the gem, and a Butterfly as well. Look at her DPS. She is pumping out almost 400 damage per hit. My god. And Dragon Knight's starting to get his own DPS. Not too much damage, but he's just so ridiculously tanky. It's going to be difficult, and once he finishes the AC, it's going to be even more and more troublesome. You know, Phantom Lancer has been showing up to fights, but at this point, he's really not strong enough, and I don't know if a Diffusal Blade would honestly help him out too much either, as Kunkka gonna get swapped, gonna get completely blown up. Techies, is he saving up for the last hit? No, just not even choosing to pop that mine, as they are able to kill the Kunkka, but again, a support Kunkka really does not accomplish too much for the Scourge, and maybe they're gonna be able to get a bit more confidence to go into the Roshan pit. That could be what they're aiming for right here. But the Sentinel definitely not going to take this lying down, as Nerubian Assassin going to run right by, has some Sentry Wards, but Puck has his gem, and Nerubian Assassin will be spotted out. Drow with her own gem, and this is going to be a very, very dicey fight, as Puck with the dagger and the Dagon. He's actually upgrading the Dagon. Oh my god, this is something you never see. And I'm not too sure if more burst damage is the correct option. They have a lot of burst damage, and yes, the Kunkka boat is incredibly troublesome to deal with, but I think a Hex, Yules, other items of that nature would just be a lot more useful in these teamfight engagements, which is something that the Sentinel just completely trumped the Scourge in. And regardless, even without the bow, it's going to be tricky to burst on the Dragon Knight. But Techies with the Haste Rune, trying to secure the Roshan, planting a lot of mines, but look at the map control the Sentinel have. They don't have many wards, but they're just so unafraid. They know it's very difficult for the Scourge to actually kill them unless they get a very, very good swap, as Nerubian Assassin once again cloaking himself in Vendetta, and Scourge just not even going to bother if they don't have the mines in position to kill out this tower, knowing Drow has a gem, and actually they're just looking to secure the Roshan, as Dragon Knight going to run over one mine at the very least. It's going to take a little bit of damage, and a Stasis Trap, as Dragon Knight unfortunately turned down the other way, so he can't actually chase the techies into the landmines, and Dragonite probably knows that something's up. Meanwhile, the Keyblade does manage to kill off the Nerubian Assassin. Drow going to work. Will focus down the Vengeful Spirit, but the illusions draining a lot of Drow's damage. Actually, those are the Shadow Demon Illusions, and the Shadow Demon Illusions actually turned on the Master. PL is gonna absolutely melt, and this PL is just having very, very little impact. Drow already level 21, and she is pumping out some huge DPS at this point. And meanwhile, this is one of the saddest Kunkas I've ever seen, because it is support Kunka. Techi's gonna get engaged upon, gonna get silenced, he's gonna get stunned. Can't even pop the Suicide Squad. He's gonna get swapped out. They're placing a very high priority on Techies, looking to try to secure their base as long as possible, but they are gonna sacrifice the Vengeful Spirit, and Techies might just end up dying yet again. The mine's just gonna do a bit more chip damage to the Dragonite, but Dragonite just gonna easily laugh that off, and Sentinel gonna take the first barracks of the game against a Phantom Lancer lineup. And Phantom Lancer is one of those heroes that one barracks does not mean too much, but against this very, very deadly dual core carry lineup on the side of the Sentinel, I think it means a lot. As Puck trying to burst on the Drow, just not enough DPS. The Dagon not too effective, and actually the Sentinel going to clean up a second set of barracks. Phantom Lancer did not save enough money for buyback, and this is looking very grim for the Scourge. Meanwhile, the excellent adventures of Kunkka and Sentinel continue, as Kunkka is just finding himself ensnared by various shenanigans and escapades. And Sentinel just not even bothering to go for Roshan. They do have a gem, but they know they have a huge advantage, and their carries still have a bit of room to grow. Dragonite could get more powerful, still has potentially 2 or 3 item slots to fill. Drow could potentially get a Satanic and Boots of Travel and 1 more item, so she has a lot to fill. Phantom Lancer still has a lot of room to grow. Only just now finishes Diffusal Blade level 1, so Phantom Lancer really needs to have some sort of impact in this game, but it's very difficult for the Scourge to lock people in place. They only have a Dream Coil and 1 stun in the form of Vengeful Spirit, and again, Stasis Trap is quite unreliable. And Puck upgrade the Dagon to level 3. Maybe this is the way the Scourge go. They're saying, fuck it, go ultra late game. Let's get Dagon 5s, everybody. Dagon 5 will do a lot of burst. But, I mean, support Shouting has some drums. He's gonna be pumping out some funky beats. You know, Phantom Lancer in the jungle, the mighty jungle. But he does not sleep here tonight, because there are bugs up in your grill. Phantom Lancer, you don't want to get them fleas. And Drow just saying, fuck it, YOLO, running all over to the mines, finishes Satanic, and it seems like the Sentinel looking to try to secure the game. They know they're incredibly strong, they know Phantom Lancer does have a lot of room to grow, but at this point they can easily clean through them. And the Sentinel, Scourge threatening to take the Aegis, but Nerubian Assassin picks up the Aegis. Meanwhile, Phantom Lancer are gonna get chased down, force staffed away to safety. BKB by the Dragonite is gonna be down right now. Dragonite gonna engage on the Venge. Sorry, my friend, your time is up. Meanwhile, Drow just gonna run rampant just through the mines. This Drow just does not give any sorts of fuck. Gonna run to another mine, gonna get killed slowly but surely by the Diffusal, actually gonna get 4 staff ahead. Really can't find any targets to Satanic into, and oh man, she's in such great danger of being picked off. Phantom Lancer 1 more lance. The Radiant Stanch actually secures the Drow. Dragonite gonna die as well. Where's the Nerubian Assassin Aegis now, bitches? That's what the Scourge are saying. And man, will this be a game of throws? Sentinels still have a vastly, vastly huge advantage, but they can't be diving in YOLO style, because they're up against a PL, and even though PL does cap out, he's still definitely one of the best late game heroes in the game. And man, why the fuck would they give Nerubian Assassin the Aegis? I think maybe one of the plans are just like, alright Nerubian, you can run in, pop Spike Carapace, and if Techies blows up the mines, then you'll die, but you'll take the Techies with you. I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe it's also a way to say, alright, you do a lot of damage. Are you upgrading your Dagon? No, you're not as ballers as Puck. Nerubian Assassin actually gonna go for an engagement, gonna get stunned, the Keeper of the Light. might very well end up losing his Aegis right now, which would be very, very unfortunate to say this. And look at Drow just taking so much damage. Gonna pop the Satanics, but again, can't steal from Illusions. She just managed to hit the real one, but just not doing as much damage because the marksmanship damage is being reduced quite heavily, losing 40 DPS on the back of that. And Puck is gonna be on the suit, pops a Dream Call on the Nerubian, and suddenly Nerubian is gonna lose his very hard-earned Aegis, as he is going to be completely isolated, and the Sentinel are just like, what the fuck, guys? Why were you there? As the Spike Carapace go into town, almost kill off the Puck, but Puck and Techies do get the last laugh. Techies beyond godlike. What is this game? Oh my god. Baka Palane is the call, and Techies actually went back into Aghanims. He's saying, alright, we're 2x down, let's just play greedy as possible. I can't really see any other reasoning behind it. Fenlancer now with level 2 Defeasel is going to be a bit of an issue. 3,100 gold. Suddenly, Sentinel going to have to pay a bit more notice, especially after Drow fed twice. Our run progression has ground to a halt. Dragonite looking to secure himself a Satanic, as Satabnik is going to be the call, which is not a real item. Come on, Manoi. No, just a little bit of mistyping. Phantomwhitzer with the gem, still holding on to the Tranquil Boots. Again, this is pretty nerf, so just doing the trademark load at AUI. Hold on to the Tranquil Boots for 80,000 minutes until you get maxed out, and then you pick up Boots of Travel, because you know what? Fuck Boots of Travel. That's why. As, Dragonite throwing down the deeps on those illusions. Those illusions, I'm sure, are completely heartbroken. And meanwhile, the Sentinel actually got one of their towers killed, and Sentinel is suddenly looking a little bit less secure. Again, they still have a huge advantage. They managed to take down 3 barracks. Range barracks really not that significant, and that is going to delay Phantomwhitzer's farm immensely. That's going to delay Techie's farm immensely. But still, all the while, the Creepy Golem is going to push on the Scourge side of the map, and that is going to slow down the assault. Oh my god, mines are popped, and I could not see it. And top 4 was the call. No detection. I mean, you dead. While I'm rambling away, Techie's just gonna pick up kills. Drow might get baited by the Techies. Nerubian Assassin gonna roam in, gonna pop the Spike Carapace saying, blow me up, I dare you. Techies just blows himself up. And unfortunately for Techies, no remote mines, as he's gonna Boots of Travel in. Dragonite's gonna buy back. That is the Techies, as he's gonna get recalled back? Can't really see. Yeah, he got recalled back. And all the while, Sentinel gonna be in danger of getting pushed in. Phantomwhitzers starting to do a lot of damage, and Sentinel being pushed into their base. Oh my god, what the fuck is this game? I'm so confused.
A player's forces are under attack.
Meanwhile, Vengeful Spirit forced to hoard or fend off against angry super creeps by her lonesome. Detection for the Sentinel. I think they've like used up all of their gems, and maybe they're just like, you know what, you buy Sentry Wards. And Kunkka is gonna be more than happy to oblige, because he says, well, I'm not doing anything else in this game, but all the while Phantomwhite Solutions just pushing on the doorstep of the Sentinel. Shouting gonna create his own Phantomwhite army though, and that is something you can do. But gem on Drow again, just because she has that 625 range, so she can kill it. Still takes a bit of damage because the AoE of remote mines is huge. Huge, bruh. It's huge. You know, Techie's gonna get X'd. He doesn't have buyback because he already used it, or that was, I guess, the Bloodstone. And here comes the assault, and Techie's not enough mines, bro. Now he's gonna use his buyback. That last one was his Bloodstone, as he had 20 charges on that Bloodstone. He was beyond godlike, but he's gonna lose a huge streak. And I can't even check who got that streak because it's not Dota 2. I forget. But now Sentinel are just like, alright, Techie's no buyback, time to push, because Techie's the most important hero in the game. And it's a sad state for the Scourge, and Techie's is the most important hero on your side of the map.
A player's forces are under attack.
But all is not lost for the Scourge. If they manage to get one Stasis Trap, which is feasible, since Techies is actually decently tanky, question mark. And the BKB durations on the Drow and the Dragonite are approaching their limits. Are approaching the shortest durations. So if Techie's managed to get himself surviving a battle, if they can lock the Sentinel in place, one Stasis Trap could fully turn the tide of a battle, and Fanatics could potentially amass enough armies of illusions to overcome the deadly forces of the Sentinel army. But Sentinel not willing to commit. They know they still have a Rex advantage. They know they still have the advantage. The tier 3 on their middle lane definitely very, very safe. And it looks like they're just going to pressure Shouty and poking his head out a little bit too far, looking to try to give himself a little bit of an illusion army going for himself. Unfortunately, those illusions will meet their makers very, very soon. I'm not too sure why they're approaching, but they are going to blow up some landmines, so I guess that's a tricky way to go about it. Just send your Phantom Lights or illusions in, blow up some mines, blow up the landmines at the very least. Torrent gonna whiff on the techies just barely, and all the while Sentinel's saying, alright, our other lanes are gonna be pushing in. We could stand here all day, but the question is, can they? Because they're actually taking a bit of damage from the Radiance. And the Drow and the Dragonite may have lifesteal, but the other 3 heroes definitely sure as hell don't. They're actually going to disrupt the Drow, trying to siege on his tower slowly but surely. Techies, how much money does he have? It wouldn't be very prudent to save for buyback, but I guess he can't afford it, as it's going to be swap in, engaging, as I think Drow was swapped into midst everything, satanicking up, trying to steal as much life as possible. Kunkka going to take all the damage, to bow buff, still doing a lot of reduced damage, but the bow buff is going to wear out quickly, and that's going to be a lot of damage thrown down on the side of the Sentinel very, very quickly, as Techies is going to die, but the damage and the Phantom Monster is unable to be isolated whatsoever. The Dragonite is forced to retreat, going to find himself mana leaked and going to get purged up. Dragonite is going to die, and Sentinel just crumbling under the pressure. Maybe now Sentinel will realize, alright, it might not be actually a good idea to push headlong into the Scourge. Maybe it's a good idea to split push. But it is tricky to split push up against the techies, because you might not always have the detection, but they're going to lose themselves their 8th gem. Maybe a little bit less. I might be overstating it by just a little bit, but definitely seems like they've lost so many gems. It's Scourge or Sentinel definitely get impatient. This is just going to Drow. Just going to charge in. Going to silence a Phantom Light solution. You go, girl. Not too sure what Drow's doing. I think Drow is like, I'm so sick of this game, I just want it to be over. But it's only 49 minutes in the game. There's definitely a lot of time, and Sentinel, they're still advantaged. They're still winning by 3 sets of racks, but they are throwing it away. As now the kill count is starting to be evened up, slowly but surely. Phantom Lights are looking to secure himself mana, and Phantom Lights could potentially pick up another item once he drops the gem, gives it to his support. We'll have to see what he goes for. Definitely needs a lot of damage, because I have to imagine the Dragonite is going to become more and more of a problem, especially once he gets his own Satanic, which could be viable in the very near future. Meanwhile, techies seemingly staying up for buyback, just checking out the courier. Well, there's 2 couriers. No, I guess maybe he already bought back? I'm not too sure. I honestly just forget. Meanwhile, the armies of illusions gonna push out the bomb lane single-handedly. And ooh, Puck gonna find himself in a bit of a tricky situation. Gonna be able to escape. Might have been in danger of losing one of the Scourge's gems. But Roshan has respawned, and there are no mines to be found. Sentinel gonna push in without any detection. They know the techies has been penned up in his space for so long, but this top is literally a minefield. So it's gonna definitely be to Sentinel's advantage if they just push in a different lane, looking to split push. As is third engaging in the middle lane? No, Kunkka just running around. This Kunkka. I honestly don't really know why the Sentinel are not farming up the Kunkka, because the Kunkka has so much range. If you eventually get a splash off, it could just decimate the side of the Scourge, and the splash would just be immensely useful against the Phantom Light solutions. I'm really questioning the Sentinel's decision. They're farming the Shoudian more than the Kunkka, which is really just mind-boggling. And Shoudian's very important. All the heroes on the side of Sentinel are very important. I think it's just weird. The least important hero might be the Nyx. But he's still quite important. Mana burn to the techies will do a lot of DPS, but farming up the Kunkka I just feel like would be such a good idea. Unfortunately, there's not really too much farm to be had because the creeps are constantly pushed to the Sentinel side, so they can't really farm, or to the Scourge side, so the Sentinel can't farm them as effectively as they'd hope. Meanwhile, Puck has a freaking Dagon 5, enough said. Meanwhile, Sentinel actually playing super scared, super defensive. Techies just planting his minefield. Phantom Lancer finish the Boots of Trial, so can go for Manta and one more item. But after that, he's done. Might actually be more prudent to sell the Radiance and get another item like a Butterfly, because the Sentinel do not yet have an MKB. And Radiance will definitely be... Radiance is pretty strong mid-game, but the heroes on Sentinel are just getting a bit too tanky, so the burn damage definitely not important. The plus damage not important. So yeah, you could potentially sell the Radiance. But it does help amplify your split push, which is definitely a little bit of an issue for the Scourge, as the creeps are constantly being pushed in. Meanwhile, Sentinel grouping up. Are they going to go for top again? They're sending Drow ahead, who has Aegis for once, not the Nerubian. And Drow just stealing some life. Getting paid. And yeah, it looks like the Sentinel going to be the first ones to blink. They're going to, yet again, siege the top lane. They don't have a gem. They have a lot of detection, I've got to imagine. I mean, Kunkka probably has... Yeah, Kunkka is going to buy a casual 8 Sentry Wards. Just cause. I don't know why it's Kunkka buying the Sentry Wards. I mean, you have 1k gold, Xiaodun. What the fuck, man? All I'm saying is support Kunkka 50 minutes in the game. If you haven't won the game by then, support Kunkka. Really not that good of a hero. And support Kunkka in general, just not that good of a hero. But this Sentry Ward gonna give him the detection, or this Sentry Ward rather. And Sentinel, once again, gonna group up, try to push down the top lane rather than split push, but it is actually pretty difficult because Techies has laid his complete arsenal of traps all across the area.
A player's forces are under attack.
Now Phantom Lancer smartly saving up for buyback. Techies does have enough for buyback as well. And the Phantom Lancer are starting to spread. It might be more prudent for Xiaodun actually the ones be pushing middle, because he does have a Ghost Scepter potentially escape if Phantom Lancer does decide to turn his Legion's attention, and Xiaodun could potentially make his own Phantom Lancer army and just provide more pressure. But Sentinel, again, going to be the first ones to retreat in this gauge, and actually Drow going to be completely assaulted by these Phantom Lancers. What an annoying hero. And Scourge just going to clam up in their little turtle shell saying, "Come at us, bro." And Phantom Lancer to the gem means his illusions do get the true sight, so these illusions actually going to D-ward. You can see the Nerubian getting worked. And Dragonite losing chunks of mana at a time. But Xiaodun's like, haha, I have my own Phantom Lancer illusions with its gem aura. Oh my god, this game. You know, Drow looking to split push in, sending the Manta style illusions in front, but Puck is there on the defense. Techies smartly does not blow up the remote mines. And Sentinel still grouping up on the top lane, trying to make something happen, but this is just very, very annoying, and Sentinel are definitely still ahead. I mean, if they were smart enough to farm the Kunkka, they'd be so far ahead. It would be funny. Wouldn't even be funny. And Sentinel are playing smart now, but I don't know why the fuck they're not farming the Kunkka, honestly. You know, Scourge, Puck, Dagon 5, Puck still has Lava, Emgruth as they're going to swap in Drow. Drow's going to die yet again before popping the BKB, so there goes the Aegis. Vengeful Spirit, definitely one of the best turtlers because he can swap people out of position, and the mine is just going to completely obliterate the Drow. And now Phantom Lancer is on the assault. Xiaodun going to have to run, but you can't run, you can't hide, you can actually teleport away because Blind Light does not interrupt channeling abilities, or channeling abilities. And we all the Shadow Team and Phantom Lancer already going to work. Oh my god. Gonna pop the mine. And now Sentinel are just like, welp, we've done that 2 or 3 times and might not actually be a good idea to push in top anymore. Maybe I should push in bot. We have, you know, more freedom to run around and do shit, where we don't have to grow up the high ground. That might be a smarter way to go about it, guys. Meanwhile, oh my god, this techie is stopped to buy items. So it's gonna be a while before he gets a Hex. Phantom Lancer probably can buy something now, 6.3 AK. So he can finish his Manta and still have enough for buyback easily. But he's not choosing to do so just yet. Why? I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, the Sentinel side just looking to split push Dragon Knight. His farm has been limited. And again, it's because the creeps are just constantly pushed in towards Sentinel side. So Sentinel, or Skirt side, so Sentinel can't really farm the lane. But what is very common for a lot of Dota 2 teams to do in this situation is just farm the enemy's jungle and farm their own jungle, and you will out-farm the other side because they're farming both jungles and technically both lanes, even if you're not farming two of the lanes. But what the Scourge get from two of the lanes is very, very insignificant. So you will definitely come out ahead in the gold battle if you chose to do that. But Sentinel, maybe a bit inexperienced. I'm not too sure. Maybe don't watch Western replays too much, or Eastern replays. Well, Eastern replays don't only farm jungle and enemies jungle. Sentinel looking to group up once again. This Drow has to be so careful. Fish the Manta style, but now don't believe she has buyback. Well, she might after she farms enough. And yeah, Sentinel now gonna farm the jungle of the opponents while Drow is farming her own jungle. But now it's just gonna farm the lane since the creeps are pushed in, and she definitely does get a lot more from the lane. And it would be extremely impractical for the Sentinel. This guy got 11 Sentry Wards. Casually running around with 11 Sentry Wards. I mean, honestly, I don't really know what the point of shouting with items is. His spells don't get stronger. His damage doesn't get stronger. You know, Kunkka with items, well, that would be, you know, pretty fucking good against Phantom Lancer. Just saying. And the game rolls on and on. Well, I mean, I did cast this game once before. I did forget how it goes. I'm gonna fast forward 2x speed. But, you know, we're hitting a bit of downtime. Just gonna go through. So, yeah, if you do want me to cast Dota replays, can you please send me the links, the Ghost Gamer links, either to YouTube or bballin773@gmail.com, and make sure they're heroes that are not yet in Dota 2, whether it's a Baden, which is definitely a good option, you know, Terrorblade. That's pretty much it, right? I think Pit Lord's still banned Captain's Mode in Dota 1. I'm not too sure why Frog has not implemented the Dota 1 heroes in Captain's Mode just yet, like Winter or Phoenix, or... I know they're still broken, but I think it would be pretty cool to see how they'd work. Yeah, what other heroes are there? God, it's like a Baden, and that's pretty much it. TC is now in Dota 2, or ET. Techies. If you can find more Techies games, that could be an option as well. But other than that, I mean, yeah. I definitely would probably cast at least one more Dota 1 replay in the next month or so. Because this game, you know, it was entertaining for a bit, but now it's starting to sort of drag on. Both teams making questionable decisions. Well, Scourge really not in position to make any decisions other than defend, but Sentinel definitely making a lot of questionable decisions. Dragon Knight picked up the Butterfly, so it's going to be very useful against Phantom Line Solutions, which is definitely why he picked it up. You know, the third Roshan of the game, so that will be the cheese. Drow is maxed out. She might have to sell the Lothars, but you know, Filipinos and their Lothars, they'd rather sell anything than their Lothars. But yeah, if you want to Dota 1 replays, email me, bballin773@gmail.com, post on my Facebook, let me know on Twitter. All of these locations you can find me at bballin773. Or email me the link on YouTube, the Ghost 2 Gamers link.
Player's forces are under attack.
I'm gonna have to look through the hero pool to see who's not yet in. Because Skyrath, you know, is definitely in, and Skyrath will definitely have a significant impact on the Western scene. Again, Filipinos, the hipsters of Dota. And meanwhile, mine's Blub Kunkka for the umpteenth time. So I'm just like, oh, Kunkka. This Kunkka is just gonna be his own sitcom. The various shenanigans and exploits of support Kunkka.
A player's forces are under attack.
Meanwhile, Drow just looking to split push. Sentinel deciding to split push, definitely a good option, but now they gave more than enough time for Techies to fortify the defenses. But still, if they, I mean, I think Gem has got to be on cooldown. Unfortunately, you can't really check in Dota 1. But the game still continues to roll on, and now, I mean, it's hard to say who's the advantage. Because, you know, in terms of map control, the Sentinel still have good advantage. Sentinel can definitely make more mistakes. I mean, if Scourge make one mistake, the game could potentially just be over. As Fanlancer smartly buys the Butterfly, I think he's going to have to sell the Radiance. Radiance is just not going to cut into the late game for the DPS. And it's not like anybody on side Sentinel has Dagger to cancel it, so yeah, I think Radiance could be sold. But, you know, Radiance is a decent item to farm or push up against. It allows you to accelerate the farm with the burn.
Player's forces are under attack.
You know, Drow getting chased away aggressively. And it seems like Scourge are just like, keep making mistakes, Sentinel. And then we might find an opening. Puck finally picks up another item. I'm not too sure why the Scourge are still holding on to two of their gems. You know, hold on to one, leave the other one in the base. You know, the opponent land is an absolute... This is... You know, it's a lot of mines.
Forces are under
I might have said something offensive, but... You know, this is looking like the fucking Middle East. And Dragonite just gonna charge in, pop in the BKB. They're gonna go to work on Techies. Techies gonna get swapped out yet again. Techies looking to do a lot of DPS. Dragonite's BKB has timed out. Techies gonna force staff himself in, trying to bait somebody into a stasis trap, question mark. Venture Spirit gonna be forced to buy back as Nerubian Assassin gonna go to work. Will secure the kill on Techies. Techies definitely should have enough money to buy back. He will. Venture Spirit already used the buyback. Venture Spirit will get picked off. Meanwhile, Drow getting chased away by the puck as well as the Phantomancer. Phantomancer not getting targeted appropriately. Drow, it might have been more prudent for you to drop the Aegis, but the split push actually is working. They're gonna kill off a tier 4 as a pause happens at the worst possible time. Dragonite still throwing down ridiculous amounts of damage at the Butterfly. The Purge Blade isn't effective. Dragonite gonna pop the illusion, gonna get picked off, and that is gonna be the end of the cell. But there's gonna be double buyback on that side. Drow gonna buy back, trying to go to work on the top barracks. Drow gonna look to escape, but if she dies, she doesn't have the buyback. She already has died once, and she knows if she dies again, that could be very well the game. But Sentinel definitely coming out way ahead because they got they got a tier 4, and suddenly the base looks very, very approachable. Sentinel finally found a way to crack the exterior or the interior of the Scourge base. And goddamn, I think he should finish an item, Techies, because there's no point saying for buyback now. But again, it's not like he's farming. I think he's leaving the majority of the farm for the Phantomancer. Even Keeper finished a 4 staff. Everybody has Ghost Scepter for the most part. You can see Phantomancer DPS still very, very potent, but definitely not the be-all and end-all. If the other team has such sufficient map control that they can just overpower the illusions, Phantomancer 2 can be beaten. Meanwhile, the Sentinel, I think they should just, you know, wait for the buyback on Drow, farm up, which I think they are doing. If they push in now, that would be very, very questionable, because if Drow dies, that could be a potential opening for the Scourge to get themselves back in the game. But Drow looking to back the heck out of there. Smoker Seat gonna be used. Drow, ooh, she's flirting with death. She still has the Lothars, but there is a gem on the Vengeful Spirit. They're gonna wrap around. They think Drow's in the neutrals, but now they're going to be forced to teleport back. Oh man, if they just ventured in lane, that would have been a Drow kill, and perhaps could have been the start of a turnaround for the Scourge, but Drow gonna be a bit lucky not to be caught out, and now Venture Spirit knows that there's Drow there, are gonna try to isolate her. Venture Spirit could be in a lot of trouble. She could lose the gem as Dragonite gonna approach her from the south. But Venture Spirit just running away as fast as possible, was not carrying a TP because she was in the base the entire game. Drow, no first hit Frost Arrow, but Drow does have immensely high base movements. We're gonna guess the wrong direction as there's a fight breaking out. Illusion on illusion action, Shoudian versus Phantom Lancer illusions. Oh my god. And Venture Spirit does manage to escape. Drow guessing one way, Venture Spirit going another. Nighttime, of course, does limit your vision. So Drow gonna be, you know, a bit miffed. That would have been a gem. But Puck already has another gem. Puck finally fishes the scythe, so this is actually, you know, the most time progression we've seen in a long while. The first hex of the game is picked up 60 minutes in, 68 minutes in. Fucking what a game. Well, Nerubian does have a dagger. And Sentinel, yeah. Just gonna probably wait for the buyback cooldown and Drow to reset, and look for her to get enough gold so she can actually buy back. And then they're probably just gonna do the same strategy, get a tier 4. And really, Scourge have to push. They have to push. They can't just keep waiting around, because the Sentinel are just like, well, you know, we already dedicated ourselves this long. We're not gonna just say end it. We're gonna actually try to not throw this game, try to win it. So Scourge, they've gotta push, and they've gotta do it soon. And the Phantom Lancer army gonna pick off the Nerubian Assassin. Oh my god. Why group push when you got Phantom Lancer? But Shoudian, so many illusions. Oh my god. And the Shoudian illusions, oh, they're gonna be overcome by the Phantom Lancer illusion, saying my illusions are better than yours. Nerubian gonna charge back in. He has a gem, so he knows which one's the real Phantom Lancer, but he doesn't have any backup DPS, and Phantom Lancer is regenerating up all his HP, so Nerubian definitely does not have the purse to keep up with the Phantom Lancer. And the game rolls inexorably onwards. I'm just gonna fast forward again, hoping for something. Scourge gonna break out of their base, trying to push out the top lane. Sentinel farming their jungle. Should be looking to push out the bottom lane a bit. Phantom Lancer not choosing to sell his Radiance, probably has like 30,000 gold. Only 6k, kind of disappointed, but he is getting a lot less gold from the bottom as well as the middle lane. And support Kunkka, still 80 billion Sentry Wards. And Shoudian picked up a Necro 3. Because, you know, Necro 3 Shoudian will do so much. Well, I mean so much, it actually won't do too much. As double VKs are popped, they're gonna go to work on the barracks. I think Glyph should be up yet. You do see the Glyph, but Phantom Lancer, one of the tricky things is he doesn't have a lot of burst, as Dragonite gonna find himself stunned. Drow taking immense amounts of damage, and you can see she's losing a lot of DPS being focused on, but Dragonite gonna be able to kill off the last of the barracks, and Keeper Light will perish in this assault. Meanwhile, Dragonite does die, and now the Scourge are, I think, pretty much boned. Even though they pretty much got a team wipe, they're facing Mega Creeps, and now they're like, oh, maybe we should have actually pushed out a bear earlier. And maybe Tix is like, oh, maybe I should have finished a fucking Hex, rather than save up for a billion buybacks. I don't know. You know, this is sort of the reason why. Because even though Filipino Dota games can be exciting, even though they have interesting heroes, and this game was exciting for a point, you know, the decision making is not as on par to the top scene, so it's a little bit more frustrating to watch, but it's also a little bit more fun, because, you know, usually when teams make mistakes, it leads to comebacks, it leads to, you know, very action-heavy games. In this game, I mean, 72 kills, can't even count anymore. You know, 1 kill a minute, it's definitely nothing to laugh about. But, well, not more to be said, in my opinion. Who has the Aegis and the cheese? Are they still going to Lothar's? Yep. Kunkka has the cheese and a BKB. Kunkka, 72 minutes in the game, picked up Boots of Travel and a BKB. Let's give him a round of applause, everybody. Senna looking to push in. You know, starting to go into play-by-play mode because I think I've already covered this game to death. As Phantom Lancer could, where he'll get besieged. He sold Manta to get AC. You know, that's not a bad idea. AC will be very, very useful, and you can see Dragonite just gonna die. So, wow. And Kunkka gonna get chain stunned by the stasis traps. Not even popping his VKB. Drow getting forced away. Oh my god, did Senna lose this? Well, Drow gonna pop her BKB. Kunkka gonna get blown the fuck up for the 8 billionth time. Nerubian gonna get blown up. Phantom Lancer picks up a triple kill AC. Proving to be a very, very valuable purchase. Okay, techies, I think it might be a good idea to actually buy a fucking Hex.
A player's forces are under attack.
And yeah, you can definitely defend against Megas with Keeper, Techies, and Phantom Lancer. It's probably very, very easy. And that means Sentinel getting no farm from the lanes. And they're getting no farm at all because they're not even farming a jungle. Shadow Demon flirting with death. Defuse him! Defuse him! You still have 2 charges, you can easily defuse him. Shadow Demon, all he wanted was to get some Phantom Lancers of his own to call friends. Unfortunately, Shadow Demons must remain forever alone. Meanwhile, Drow is going full on YOLO mode. And DK is still dead for 18 seconds. This tier 3 tower could potentially die, which is kind of silly. But I don't think Phantom Lancer can actually kill off the Rex. Well, he could try to suicide it down. But still, you don't really want to have to suicide. Gonna see teleport, the tier 3 is gonna be brought down. Oh my god, they're gonna lose the barracks. Cliff is gonna be used. Dragonite has respawned. Kunkka is just gonna be, you know, shrugged off because he doesn't do damage. They're gonna X an illusion because, you know, fuck illusions. Meanwhile, Puck and Vengeful Spirit finding out much to their chagrin, they are not Phantom Lancer, Keeper Light, or Techies. They can't actually hold off Mega Creeps. As much to their dismay.
Forces are under attack.
And now, middle barracks were saved in the end. Probably the smarter thing. You don't really want to have to use a buyback, because if you buy back and then they just kill you, then you actually do lose. At least this is the way, you know, you don't lose yet. As Puck Dagoning creeps, Keeper Light might finish this Hex before Techies. Techies picked up Heart, why? I don't know. I don't think, you know, standing yourself, Techies, in a fight. Sentinel have already shown that they don't care about the heroes anymore, they just want to kill the buildings. So I'm not too sure why Techies picked up Heart. He's not really getting targeted down, he always has enough money for a buyback. I think Heart is a really shitty item in this case. But, you know, this is bordering on a pretty crazy game. One thing that is good for Sentinel is that Drow is not forced to buy back, so she still has a buyback. Dragonite does not have buyback. Does not have gold for buyback. And Split Push Dance will continue. Shadow Demon creating his own illusions. Just gonna fast forward some more because they're just gonna dance and dance. It takes 2 teams to tango, and they're tangoing. Starting to run out of metaphors, analogies, terrible similes, and all that jazz. So yeah, you know, more stuff is happening. Shouting does die. Phantom Lancer could be in a lot of trouble. If they can just find the real one. They did. Dragon Tail's gonna use. They're gonna kill off Phantom Lancer once. He's gonna have to buy back. And if Phantom Lancer dies again, that's gonna be it. And Techies, what's your heart gonna do now, bro? Ain't gonna do nothing. Dragonite has enough for buyback, Drow has enough for buyback, so I think Sentinel could potentially try to win the game, at least get the last tier 4, and then
Players' forces are under attack.
go to work on the middle bear, or on the frozen throne, which is actually a frozen throne, rather than a fortress or an ancient.
A town is under siege.
Gonna see a swap. Dragonite just does not care about swaps. He's gonna take a lot of damage. Keeper light. He picked up fucking lifesteal DPS keeper. As Kunkka with the boat gonna fly in. Vengeance here gonna get stunned. Place eliminate. Throwing down a lot of DPS. Meanwhile, Drow Illusion looked to secure the tier 4. Drow did end up perishing as the glyph is gonna be popped very, very late at a point where it's of the utmost inconsequences because nobody was attacking it. And Sentinel probably noticed that the glyph was down, but I think Scourge may have stalled long enough so PL could potentially have buyback. Maybe not. Not too sure.
A player's forces are under attack.
I mean, Scourge had to do something. They just can't wait around forever. Because they're losing buildings. I mean, on Sentinel, they're not losing anything. All they're losing is gold. Because everybody is close to level 25 at this point. I mean, fucking support Kunkka might pick up a Sanj. That's 80 minutes in the game.
A player's forces are under attack.
Ninja Drow trying to secure the victory against the Phantom Lancer Scourge on the Scourge. I haven't bought any BKBs, but they can't really afford it.
A player's forces are
Drow still hasn't even used her 6-second BKB. Phantom Lancer holding on to 11k, because what else would he do with it? Probably sell the Radiance, but even then, I don't know how much of a difference that would make. Picked up something like an MKB or a Daedalus. I think at this point you just sort of have to get Rapier on Phantom Lancer, even though it doesn't give you any damage from illusions.
a player's forces are under attack.
And Drow just waiting in the background.
A town is under siege. A player's forces are under attack. A town is under siege. A player's forces are under attack.
GG's called. Gahaha, woohoo. I don't know if these guys are friendly, but you know, celebrating that this game is finally over. So Scourge, their decisions did cost them. Phantom Lancer being a bit too slow. Techies making shit item choices like a heart, which didn't do anything. Sentinel definitely could have ended it much earlier if they played a bit smarter. If they gave Kunkka some farm. But overall, hopefully you enjoy that game. It was definitely a lot more entertaining at the beginning. But yeah, thanks for watching. Again, send me replays if you find games of Techies, Abaddon, Pitlord that are relatively recent. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been toying with the idea that I might cast some older school Dota games just to sort of, you know, keep the memories alive. But I'll have to see. See, it depends on the reception. But thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully you enjoy it. Techies. What a hero, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.